you still there?
Yes, we're still here.
Okay.
We're just getting to the correct Zoom link for individuals to link up on the Zoom system.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so
And I believe that Chairman Siegert is also trying to sign in. Chris Gross, can you hear me?
I can hear you, Chris.
Gross is the engineer for the board. Pat Downs is the it works with Mr. Gross. Chris, do you know if Jason is still trying to sign on?
He is trying. I will try to get him on here quick.
thank you. We apologize for lengthening our meeting with our technical glitch.
That's all right.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yes. Chairwoman Peach, and my name is Chris McShane. As I indicated, the issue for those folks that have just joined us from the Grand Forks Trail Joint Water Resource District that has come up is that Ms. Heskin has asked for an abatement for the assessment for 2020. And Commissioner Falk has asked, and a bit of background, Ms. Heskin's raised several arguments, one of which is that the Trail County assessment is only effective once the project is complete, and the Grand Forks County assessment is assessed for 2020. And Commissioner Falk has asked a question as to why there would be a difference between the two counties. I have not been involved in that as much as some of the other folks that have now joined us. But Mr. Gross or Chair Siegert, I'm not sure if you would be equipped to answer that question from Commissioner Falk or not.
Chris, can you repeat the question, the exact question that Commissioner was asking?
Commissioner Falk has asked why the assessments for Trail County will be not assessed and collected until after completion of the project versus Grand Forks County, which has been assessed in 2020, despite the project not starting due to lack of right-of-way and likely to start this year.
Commissioner Falk and Chris, I'm not sure that that's factual.
And I would agree with that, Chris. I'm not familiar with the assessment process for this particular project, but that doesn't seem to be in keeping with other projects. Although it is rare to have projects that cross multiple counties, but the same request for assessment came out from the Water Resource District, I believe, to both counties, and I'm not sure if the two county assessors or counties for tax purposes have put it on people's taxes different. If so, that is not the doing of the Water Resource District, as far as I'm aware.
Ms. Gudaitis, do you have anything to respond to that information? No. Okay. Any questions of the commission? So at this time, it is my understanding, and thank you, Mr. McShane, it is my understanding that we need to make a determination on the abatement. Correct?
Yes.
Okay. Any other questions of the commission? Okay, what are the wishes of the commission?
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I'll recommend that the application for abatement be denied at this point. And we'll follow up, or our state attorney's office will follow up with information to Ms. Heskin. Thank you.
Okay. Is there a second to that
Second.
motion? Okay. A motion has been approved and seconded. Any questions or comments by the commission? If there are no comments, we will move on with the vote. Assuming a roll call vote, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. The motion is carried. Thank you.
May I ask a question?
Yes, Ms. Heskin.
Who made the motion?
Commissioner Falk made the motion.
Okay, and who seconded it?
Commissioner Rost,
I'm sorry, Ross?
R-O-S-T, Rost.
Okay. And this is based on having or not having the information about whether Trail County has requested the payment in advance of the project being even started, and Grand Forks County does not request it until it's finished.
Ms. Gudaitis?
Madam Chair, members of the commission, just remember that this is not the proper procedure for this legally at all. It doesn't matter what side did what first or second. The legal procedure, this cannot be done this way.
Did you hear that, Ms. Heskin?
Yes, I did, but I'm still wondering what is the proper condition, because it was my understanding based on the information that I received for this thing, which I only received on the 10th, that the way that I had requested it on the online form, which specifies that if the improvement has not existed, you can apply for an abatement, and it also insists on farmland, that this is the proper procedure. And then the other one moved back to the other procedure of 40 point something or other. But under that procedure, I got the impression from basically the statements that the Board of Commissioners, Grand Forks County Board of Commissioners, was the proper group whom this should be submitted. There's another group.
Ms. Heskin, you're going to be getting a letter from the state's attorney of Grand Forks County. And
Right.
hopefully they will share the information with the proper procedure to move forward with your issue.
But before they do that, you are already voting to deny the abatement?
That denial of the abatement is coming from the suggestion of the assessor's office, yes,
Okay, the suggestion of the assessor's office.
correct.
Okay,
Okay, so at this point, we're going to move forward on the agenda. The next item on the agenda is the Grand Forks Trail Joint Water Resource District. They're requesting for approval to a quick take eminent domain. The first item is Carolyn Heskin's letter and supporting documents. And I believe Mr. McShane is here to discuss that. And we will give you an opportunity, Ms. Heskin, to make a statement or ask questions following Mr. McShane's presentation, all right?
yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. My name again is Chris McShane. I am the attorney for the Grand Forks Trail Joint Water Resource District for the Thompson 72 Assessment Drain Project. And I am here today following a request from the Joint Water Resource District made to you by letter approximately a month ago, which outlined the process that the Joint Water Resource District has undertaken to negotiate with Ms. Heskin to acquire the right-of-way necessary for the Thompson 72 assessment drain project. After going through the negotiation process, we still have not reached agreement with Ms. Heskin to acquire the right-of-way necessary for this project. The process is set forth by statute. It is 6116.109 sub 2 and then sub B underneath that. This is a new process, relatively new process that the North Dakota legislature has put in place following the 2017 legislative session. The process includes an informal negotiation period in which the agents of the Water Resource District seek to negotiate with the landowners to acquire the right-of-way necessary. That process is no less than 60 days. Then following that, if the right-of-way has not been acquired, there is a formal negotiation process that will start. A formal offer is sent, which is identified in bracket or 6116.1092B, and then underneath that 1, underneath that B, and underneath that 1. It's the furthest tree I've ever seen in the statutes. But following that, there is a formal negotiation, which is a formal offer, which is, it also includes an appraisal. That offer and appraisal was sent to Ms. Heskin in the beginning of this year. Following that offer, then if there is still no agreement within 15 days, then there needs to be an invitation for Ms. Heskin to attend a Water Resource District meeting. So the Grand Forks Trail Joint Water Resource District is a joint water resource district that only meets as needed. And an invitation to meet with them was sent to Ms. Heskin. She received that. And she, there was actually 2 dates that were identified in that invitation, only one of which is a date that the joint water resource district was actually meeting. So I sent a correction to Ms. Heskin. She received that correction. She did not attend the meeting, either in person or virtually. Then following that, after the 30 days have run, following that process, then there is a notice of intent to acquire the right-of-way necessary. That notice was also sent to Ms. Heskin. 30 days after that is when the Joint Water Resource District made their request to you. The process that the legislature has put in place requires the Joint Water Resource District to request from the County Commission permission to use quick take. And that quick take would allow the Water Resource District to take possession of the necessary right-of-way upon approval from your commission, and then a deposit with the clerk of district court, and then notice to Ms. Heskin that deposit has been made. The importance of getting the right-of-way essentially now, our intent would be, if you approve today, we would likely file an action with the district court tomorrow, make a deposit on Thursday. So as of Thursday, the Joint Water Resource District would have the necessary right-of-way to complete this project, which would allow the construction work to be completed in 2021. Absent that, we would lose the 2021 construction season, which would be troublesome because of the benefits this drain would provide, and it would also be troublesome from the cost escalation that would likely result from that. So the legislature has provided the county commission with the unfortunate position of having to get confirmation from the Water Resource District that the Water Resource District has followed all of the negotiation steps, and also that the Water Resource District has not threatened or referenced quick take throughout those negotiations. The Water Resource District has done that through the submission of an affidavit of its chairperson, Mr. Siegert, who is also with us virtually today as well. And then the statute says, after receiving verification from the district that there has been no reference or threat of quick take eminent domain by the district during negotiations, the commissioners shall vote on whether to approve the taking of the easement for a right-of-way using quick take eminent domain. I have provided a checklist for the commission to identify what those required states elements are. And then we also provided the communications between the board and Ms. Heskin. I have noted the pages within the 490-ish pages that were provided to you as to where the compliance took place for each of those elements. And if the county commission believes that the Water Resource District has completed all those statutorily required steps, then at that point, we would ask that the county commission approve the use of quick take to acquire the right-of-way necessary in the southeast quarter of section 35, township 149, range 53. I stand for questions from the commission, and also we do have with us Chris Gross. He is the design engineer for this project. And also from Moore Engineering is Pat Downs. Pat Downs is the right-of-way agent who has been the primary point of contact for Ms. Heskin. And then of course we have Chairman Siegert, and then also available for any questions if they should arise is Member Purdue, who is a member of the Grand Forks Water Resource District. Again, it's a joint water resource district between those two counties.
Okay, do any commissioners at this time have any questions for Mr. McShane? Any questions? Okay, Ms. Heskin, would you care to make any comments?
Yes, I would. Basically, the information provided by Mr. McShane is not entirely correct. There were in the papers that I presented to you a list of 4 documents that showed on April 30th, 2020, Mr. Pat Downs of Moore Engineering, the district's engineering firm, sent an email to David Piper of Homestead Twitchell, the district's legal representative, as follows. I would assume for any quick take action, it would be for permanent easements, not for quick title, or for speed title. And then continuing on that, another email message dated 4/30/2020 from David Piper, attorney for law, Homestead Twitchell. The district's legal representative to the district's appraiser, Kyle Nelson, stated as follows. It looks like at least one of the landlords for this project may be a holdout, requiring us to proceed with eminent domain. Can you put together a full appraisal for the east 27.3 acres of the east 1/2/southeast 1/4 of section 35-145-53. Landowner is Carolyn Heskin. Both of these things are explicit indications that they were using on April 30th, 2020, the terms quick take and eminent domain. So indeed, I was threatened with the use of quick take and eminent domain at that time, and this was before any attempt had been made for me to receive a request for a speed title purchase of my property.
Mr. McShane, would you like to respond to that?
Madam Chairman, the communications that Ms. Heskin has provided to the commission were received through an open records request. They were not communications to Ms. Heskin. They were internal communications with the board. There was no indication to Ms. Heskin and certainly no intentional references or threats to use eminent domain within the negotiation process. That is set forth in both the affidavit of Mr. Siegert, which is, I believe, starts at page 19 of the packet that provided, and then also the affidavit of Mr. Downs, which is at page 485, both of which affirm and swear in their affidavits that the reference to quick take or threats to use quick take did not happen during these negotiations.
Do you have anything you want to state, Ms. Heskin, from Mr. McShane's comments?
Yes, I'm sorry. The terminology in the paper was to use reference quick take or utilize quick take. The emails that I quoted were provided because they were used to start a second appraisal on the property. The first appraisal was done and completed before June 2020, according to Kyle Nelson, the appraiser. The second appraisal was started on April 30th for a quick take or eminent domain. So in effect, they have utilized, and that is the term that I found in the law, utilized the quick take or eminent domain or quick take eminent domain for the purposes of effectively preventing me from having my property purchased as opposed to use on quick take. And this is well before I received any information, any purchase order request, any purchase agreement. It was 6 months before that they decided that they had to start an entirely new appraisal that was based on quick take and eminent domain. Now, why they decided to do this, I have no idea. At that point in time, I hadn't hardly contacted anybody except to verify that my votes had been received and they were counted, and whether or not the information had resulted in an approval of the project. I have no idea why they would insist on doing quick take at that point. Since that time, they have submitted a number of other documents to me, which specifically reference severage and damages, both of which are quick take procedures. The fact that they haven't used the actual words to my ears is different than what the law says. Law says reference or utilization. They have indeed utilized the precepts of quick take.
Mr. McShane?
Yeah, Madam Chair, the statute states a district may not include or utilize any reference to quick take eminent domain during negotiations to acquire the necessary easement for a right of way. The negotiations spoken of throughout multiple pages of this statute are negotiations with Ms. Heskin. There would be no way to do these steps without actually doing the homework underneath them, which includes an appraisal. The first step in the process for formal negotiations is to acquire an appraisal. Appraisals don't happen overnight. Appraisals are something that need to be ordered. Appraisals are something where you need to give the appraiser instruction as to what it is that they are appraising. And that's exactly what happened here. There was never a threat to Ms. Heskin. There was never a reference to quick take in the negotiations taking place between Ms. Heskin and the Joint Water Resource District.
Thank you, Mr. McShane. Ms. Heskin, in due respect to the individuals who are participating in the Grand Forks County Commission meeting, we're going to move forward. It seems like the discussion that you're having, it should be probably between you and the Grand Forks Trail Joint Water Resource District. We're going to move forward with our process that we need to, and we suggest that you take up those discussions at a later time with the Water Resource District, okay?
Does that mean that you're going to take a vote without my input?
Well, I think you've given us input. So we don't want to delay this process. We want to make sure that we're doing what the expectations of the commission are, because it is a joint process between Grand Forks County and Trail County. We will let you move forward with the Water Resource District. We have heard your input. We are going to move forward, and then you can certainly stand and listen, but we suggest that you deal with the Joint Water Resource District in further discussion, okay?
I'm still not sure what exactly you want me to do. You want me to call them?
I want you to be in contact with the Water Resource District, not at a different time. We need to move forward with the commission meeting, okay?
Oh, okay. So
All right.
you're not gonna make a decision today.
Yeah, we are going to make a decision today.
You are going to make a decision with my input, but without my ability to question the input.
I think that you have given us some input. We are going to move forward. And if you do disagree with that, I think that you can clearly state that, but we are still going to move forward with the agenda item on our agenda. Okay,
And the other items on my memo of May 10th, which were not completed by the district.
the other items on, you can make one final statement, Ms. Heskin, and then we're going to move forward. So I'm giving you an opportunity to do that right now.
Okay, amongst the things on my May 10th notification was, I have not received the negotiation timeline from the district as required by the law 61-16-1-09-2, which specifies that they're supposed to give me a total timeline. The district did not identify to the commission that they canceled the first meeting that was February 2nd. When I was prepared to attend that meeting online, I could not attend the February 16th meeting, so I sent an email, or I sent a total list of the questions that I had for my participation. Instead, they criticized me several times for the fact that I did not attend the only meeting offered. Then they violated the provisions which say that they may not utilize any reference to or utilization of. And then, despite my written request, I have not received a copy of the full first appraisal that was done under fee simple, which is a purchase agreement. The only one I received was the December 22nd one. Then they involved me with the fact that Trail County, when they were doing their work, started assessing my property on 2017 and did not notify me or allow me to attend any meetings or make any suggestions. Up until that time, they were working on my property for 3 years, so they fully knew that I was going to do this. Then the district has not attempted to purchase 33 feet of my property. That's 2.12 acres of property that they wanted me to donate to them. This violates the just compensation law that exists. And then originally, I only found out about this whole procedure in the November meeting of 2019. There was a prior meeting of April 2019, which the people from the Trail County group of the Grand Forks / Trail County Joint Water Board said, first of all, that I had received this notification. I hadn't. They couldn't provide me a copy of it. Secondly, they said, well, we never told anybody in Grand Forks County about the meeting. Yes, they had, because I found out that the other person who owns 5/6 of the property on that quarter of the property did receive a meeting, so I was excluded from attending this informational meeting. Then they said that I didn't need to be provided in an informational meeting because it was only informational. There's nothing in the law that says this. This is all basically just coming through from the May 10th memo that I sent everybody, the email, and I would hope that will be considered in the decision that was made by this group. I'm actually surprised that Grand Forks County would treat Grand Forks County landowners in such a weird fashion, summarily dismissive fashion, that we're treated differently because we're operating under the Trail County portion of a meeting, even though that group has been notified for 3 years that I existed. And they didn't tell me about the fact that they were studying me. They didn't let me attend any additional meetings. And, you know, at the end, I'm kind of surprised, to say the least, that this sort of a procedure is being done by Trail County against a Grand Forks County landowner.
Do any of the commissioners have any questions of Ms. Heskin? Okay, thank you very much for your comments, Ms. Heskin. We are going to move forward with the agenda item that is on our agenda, okay? All right, what are the wishes of the commission?
Madam Chair, I'm satisfied with the explanations by Mr. McShane, and actually most of these documents, I believe, were internal documents that were discovered afterwards. They were not actually being sent to Ms. Heskin. I'm going to move to authorize the Grand Forks Trail Water, or Grand Forks Trail Joint Water Resource District to utilize quick take eminent domain under section 61-16.1-09 sub 2 of the North Dakota Century Code to take an easement for a right of way and a temporary easement regarding parcel number 403-504-00001003. Thank you.
Okay, that motion has been made. Is there a second to that motion? Okay, the motion was made by Commissioner Falk. The second of the motion was made by Ms. Knopf. Any discussion? If there is no discussion from the commissioners, assuming a roll call vote, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. The motion is carried. Okay, we will move on with our agenda, Ms. Heskin, and I suggest you discuss what's moving forward with the Joint Water Resource District, okay?
Sorry, I should discuss what in specific with them?
If you're disagreeing with the commission moving forward with the eminent domain, most of the discussion that you've had previously was issues that we're dealing with the Joint Water Resource District. That's who you should be continue to discuss your concern with your property.
Okay. And
Okay.
the papers that were discussed by Mr. McShane, 491 pages of what?
490 some pages of this entire process.
And you have those pages, but I was not provided with them?
Yes, Madam Chairman, I submitted these to the Grand Forks Commission. Ms. Heskin, I'm sure could make an open records request for them if she would like. If your commission would like me to provide them to her, I definitely can. But these were part of the request that was made by the Grand Forks Trail Joint Water Resource District. And there's not a requirement by statute that we provide the same information to Ms. Heskin.
And that would probably be appropriate for you, Mr. McShane, to get that information to Ms. Heskin, since it would be a cost for us to get that done. That would be appreciated. Okay, did you hear that, Ms. Heskin?
Yes, so they are going to provide me with these copies of these documents?
That is correct.
Okay,
All right, thank you very much for your time.
thank you.
Okay, we will be moving forward. The next item on the agenda, and thank you, Mr. McShane.
Thank you.
The next item on the agenda is the Beehive Bar Street Dance. Do we have someone online that's able to discuss this?
Yeah, this is Jordan from the Beehive.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, thank you guys for having me on again. Circling back to what we had discussed a couple weeks ago, seeking approval to hold a street dance on Eagle Avenue in Reynolds at the Beehive Bar, July 24th. Time frame would be roughly closing down Eagle Avenue 3 p.m. up until 3 a.m. to give our band adequate time to set up and as well as tear down. I do have approval from Trail County Sheriff Steve Hunt. I've also spoke with Deputy Stromberg, working with Trail County Highway Department for detour signage. And then also approved by the city of Reynolds. And then I did get Sheriff Schneider the documentation he was needing that I was lacking the last time we had talked. So yeah, just circling back here, seeking approval for that.
Okay, Sheriff Schneider, do you have anything to comment on this?
Madam Chair, members of the commission, I did speak with Mr. Adams about the event. He did provide me the application. I have no issues with the application that he provided. I spoke to him about the other documentation regarding legal issues, etc. There's no concerns for the sheriff's office at this time.
Okay, thank you very much. Are there any questions of the commissioners for Mr. Adams or Sheriff Schneider? If not, what are the wishes of the commission?
Madam Chair, I would make a motion to approve the application bar street dance on July 24th, 2021.
3 p.m. to 3 a.m.
Correct.
Okay, is there a second to that? Okay, thank you. Any discussion? If there's no discussion, assuming a roll call vote, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion is carried. Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Adams, for getting the proper documentation in, and you have approval from the commission to move forward with this event.
Thank you guys for your time, and thank you, Sheriff Schneider, as well.
Thank you very much and good luck to your event, and I hope everyone is safe.
Thank you.
Okay, then let's move on to item number 8, Grand Sky Equipment Storage Building Project.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair and Commissioners. My name is Brad Durkin. I'm with Grand Sky Development Company, and I am seeking the approval of awarding the equipment storage building project. The project was advertised in the Herald beginning March 31st of this year and ran for 4 weeks until April 20th. Bids were due on the 26th. It was also provided to the Grand Forks Builders and Traders Exchange. And additionally, I reached out to 5 construction companies that I knew had been interested in projects out there in the past and sent packages them directly. We received 1 bid from Sam Steel. The bid was within a reasonable range of our estimate to do the project. And I am requesting that the board approve the project moving forward. There are funds available from the 2019 state allocated funds to Grand Sky through the county. That's where we're at today.
Okay, do any of the commissioners have any questions of Mr. Durkin? If not, what are the wishes? Oh, Ms.
No,
Knopf.
I don't have a question. I'm ready to make a motion.
Okay, and please move forward.
Okay, I'll make a motion to give approval for the acceptance of the bid through Sand Steel Building Company in the amount of $1,315,000. And also I want to add to that that would come from the 2019 allotted funds for Grand Sky.
That's correct.
Yes, that would be my
Okay,
motion.
thank you for your motion. Is there a second to that motion?
Second.
All right, it has been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? If there is no discussion, assuming a roll call vote, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. The motion is carried.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Durkin. All right, the next item on the agenda is public health, the COVID-19 update.
The slides here. Chairwoman Peach, member of the members of the commission. I'm Michael Dulitz. I'm with the opioid response project coordinator at Grand Forks Public Health in normal times. And I work with COVID data in COVID times. So I'm here to give you a dashboard update, and we can go to the next slide. I don't normally have my clicker in front of me. So looking at our health officer's dashboard this week, we did move back down into what would be a yellow level for the number of new cases. Normally that would put us into green overall on our dashboard, and that would put us in the low risk category. Unfortunately, fortunately and unfortunately, as our vaccination numbers increase, the number of tests being completed is decreasing. We don't want to test people who are asymptomatic and vaccinated because that increases the chance of a false positive. So that reduces down our testing pool. You can see a decreased number of tests. Unfortunately, that has put us into the yellow category on the dashboard. Moving forward, we will be meeting with Dr. Walls later this week to discuss the dashboard and see if there's a way we can work that vaccination metric into the dashboard so we can have it better reflective of the current conditions in the community. Looking at our case rates in various age groups, the one spot that is of a little bit of concern is the continued peak for lack of a better way of putting it, of the number of cases in the 10 to 19 age group. So they're the ones kind of leading the number of cases in the community. Part of that age group now, is eligible for vaccination, but not all of them are. And the vaccination rate in that 12 to 18-year-old age group is relatively low. The hope is that we don't see continued or any type of sustained transmission in school type settings or in that group that is a little bit more vulnerable to COVID infection, just because there's fewer people in that age group that have vaccinations. Moving on. Looking overall at the Grand Forks County community, we are at about 43% of the community who has had at least one dose, so 43% of the county, and about just over 40.1% of the county has received 2 doses of COVID vaccination. We just broke the 40% threshold today, actually. Unfortunately, we are seeing a little bit of a decrease in the number of people that are still outstanding to get their first doses. So if you look at that yellow bar on the second chart, we're at about 3.28% that still need their second dose. At its largest time, that was about 12%. So we are seeing the number of people getting their first dose and waiting for their second dose decreasing pretty rapidly, which is indicative of a slowing of vaccine uptake. We still need about 11,500 people to get vaccinated for us to reach a 60% herd immunity level. Next slide. Looking at the Metropolitan Statistical area, so Grand Forks and Polk counties, that is actually a pretty wide area. I drove all the way through Polk County recently and realized that driving from basically Boston to Niagara, that's a pretty wide area. But looking at our kind of combined Metropolitan Statistical area, Polk County is actually dragging down our overall vaccinated levels by about 3%. So they're significantly lower in that county as well. Next slide. So looking overall, this is a graphical representation of where we're at with our progress towards COVID vaccination. Adding the 12 to 15-year-olds to the number of people that can be vaccinated in the community based off of the recent Pfizer EUA modification that added about an additional 3,000 people in Grand Forks County who could get the COVID vaccination. So that increases the overall pool. It doesn't change any of our percentages at all because the pool that we've been using all along has been the entire county as being susceptible to COVID infection. Next slide. And then this is another graphical way of looking at when we add Polk County into the mix, what that does for our overall progress towards herd immunity. That increases the number of people that we are missing to get to that herd immunity threshold. Next. That said, looking in the overall state and in our peer counties in North Dakota. We are doing relatively well. We're second only to Cass County. They're at about 43%. We're at about 40%. We are still significantly above the state average, and overall, the eastern side of the state has had a significantly easier time reaching people for COVID vaccination than the western side of the state. And then looking more regionally, Grand Forks is falling, kind of right in the middle of the, similar sized or comparable city county areas with that 40.1% overall 2-dose vaccination rate. The challenges we're having with first doses are not, they aren't unique to what other people are facing in the region. Next. And again, that does look like a pretty significant drop in first doses. That drop in first doses per day that was felt pretty much across the state. 1 week we were hearing a little bit of trouble in the western side of the state, and then 2 weeks later, it felt like here we were running into the same issue where we have lots of vaccine available. We just don't have arms willing and ready to take it. Fortunately, though, we have seen a little bit of an increase as of late. With like our events that we've had at Hugo's, for instance, we've had some pretty good demand there. We had 54 people last week. We had over 37 on Monday in a 4-hour vaccine clinic. So that's, with 2 vaccinators, that is some pretty good turnout that we're seeing with this. And you can go to the next slide. One group that we do need to reach, as I mentioned, that's about 3,000 people in that 12 to 15 age group, plus I don't have the number off the top of my head, 15 to 17 or 16 and 17. We are doing a pretty good job overall reaching that age group compared to our peer counties, but that is a group that we can really tap into to help reach more individuals overall to bring up that vaccination rate. Touching back on our Hugo's vaccine events, we've had some really good turnout for those events, but those are part of a small part of a larger strategy. So we are working on getting a getting a better idea of our our processes and stuff moving forward for both fixed site vaccination pop-up clinics as well as mobile pop-up clinics for going around both the city and the county to provide vaccinations in various locations. So up on here, we have Hugo's on 32nd Avenue. That's going to be a relatively continuous site as long as we continue to have demand. We will be doing a vaccine event at Home of Economy on Thursday to help understand the nuances of doing mobile vaccine with our trailer. And then we will be branching out from there with a food truck event on June 5th, as well as more relevant to the county. We will be going up to Gilby on June 9th. We do have that one set in stone, and we expect to go to a good number of communities in the rest of the county moving forward. We're just working on solidifying those plans, and we'd be happy to come back to the commission once we have those. One thing I did want to mention is Hugo's and Home of Economy have both been wonderful partners with providing us space and providing us with incentives and making it a really easy process for us to offer vaccinations to there. We've also had a number of other entities in the community come to us wanting to provide incentives to help sweeten the pot for people to get vaccinated. And next slide. So looking at our bottom line, our case numbers are going back down. It looks like what we could have been concerned about being a fourth wave was looking more like a fourth blip. And that I think is because of the relatively high vaccination rate and the success of the vaccinations that we've done so far. We still do have some ground to make up though. The success of the vaccine pop-ups is giving us a lot of comfort knowing that there are still people out there that we just need to reach in the right way, shape, and form. So that's going to require us to have a good ground game over this summer to get the opportunities to people wherever they may be. And we are still running above state average, so our woes on getting first doses into people are not alone. Looking at our weaknesses, the Polk County vaccination rate, that is concerning to me because that is indicative of an overall challenge with both urban and rural areas in this region getting vaccination rate up. We do hope to improve the health officer dashboard to reflect our current vaccination rate and improve our vaccine uptake. And then our only threat, our major threats right now, looking at that COVID-19 case incidence and school ages, we don't want that group to be leading the county in the number of cases we're seeing. And next slide. And with that, I am available for any questions, and Debbie will follow up as well.
Does anybody have any questions for Mr. Dulitz? Well, thank you very much, Mr. Dulitz. Oh, yes, Commissioner.
And maybe Ms. Swanson wants to, either one of you, but as an entity that has to make some tough decisions very soon here, as it relates in uncomfortable ones, as it relates to mask wearing, like within the county building, distancing on county properties, that sort of thing. What would, and I know you can answer, so I'm trying to find a way around that so I get an answer, but I'm not going to do very well. So, but what would you suggest someone that's in our position, what would be our biggest concern in making our decision on where we go with this?
Sounds like a good question for you.
Thanks, Mike. Members of the commission, Commissioner Knopf, I knew this question was coming, especially in light of the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention announcement last week that they were recommending or suggesting that people who are fully vaccinated do not need to continue to wear masks. So I have a few thoughts about that, and I don't think I'll be in a position to tell you what to do, but some things to consider for your decision making before you. And I'll try not to belabor it too much, but first of all, I think the CDC made their decision based on their desire to build confidence in the vaccine. These vaccines are working extremely well. They're providing a lot of protection, and we've really seen disease rates go down. So there's some really good news. I believe they also are trying to encourage people to be vaccinated, and that's certainly our message as well, because we feel like right now that is probably our best way out of this pandemic. However, having said that, the advice was really intended for individuals to guide them in what they should be doing and not necessarily setting policy. And we did not get any heads up that the CDC was coming out with this announcement. They did not inform local governments like yourselves or state health departments or states or local health departments. So we were caught a little bit off guard by the recommendation that seemed to send the message to the public that we can all take our masks off now, and places that are requiring them no longer need to do that. So I would caution you that that's maybe not exactly what you want to do, but you want to take all that into consideration. But having said that as well, as a health department, we typically follow CDC guidance. So we are telling people if you're fully vaccinated, you should consider yourself very well protected from this disease. We like to encourage people to be vaccinated, and we typically follow CDC recommendations. But it wasn't necessarily intended to give schools or other entities the platform to say, okay, now this is what we'll do in our agency. So that is probably the best information that I can give you. The risk continues to drop in the community, but it is not non-existent. As Michael mentioned, we are still seeing cases in younger people, and that is a population that either is ineligible for vaccine or only recently became eligible for vaccine. Variants are still out there, though most of the good news there is that we believe the vaccine, it offers some protection from variants. There have been some breakthrough cases. We know that, and they have occurred, in populations that are at risk, but they're pretty rare. And this vaccine is working better than even flu vaccine in a normal year. What I'd like to summarize is the announcement did cause some confusion, and it is resulting in
conversations like this, I think, happening everywhere in all decision-making bodies. So unfortunately, you do have a decision before you because you do have a mask requirement in your buildings, which has, I believe, been a great mitigation strategy, but you may need to address that now or in the very near future.
Any other questions of Ms. Swanson? Thank you very, very much. Thank you for your information. And thank you, Mr. Dulitz, as well. All right, we will move on to the next item on our agenda, and that is our emergency management director, Ms. Getz.
Good afternoon, Madam Page, members of the commission. I'll be brief because you had in your packets my email outlining our drought conditions. I did talk with the NWS again this morning, and the new guidance came out, and unfortunately it made it worse. So now we're going to be even farther away. Even if we get rain this weekend, we'll be even farther away from how much rain we would need to put us back to even normal. So now we're up to the western side of the state needs 6 to 9 inches, and we need 3 to 6, if not more. So with that said, what I'm asking the commission to do is to declare a drought emergency for Grand Forks County. Our farmers are facing really dry days, and this is going to become problematic if it hasn't already. We've had multiple fires every day. North Dakota is currently experiencing the worst drought on record since the year 2000. And the Grand Forks was included in the secretarial designation for drought by the USDA, and also the governor did declare a statewide drought emergency. So this is just falling in line with that. I think the thinking is that as this goes on, more and more counties are going to declare, and once we get enough, he's likely going to ask for a Stafford declaration. We're not there yet, but there's no end in sight. The climatology is not in our favor for this one. So I would respectfully like to ask for a drought emergency. I will give this to Debbie for you to sign, should you decide to do that.
Hey, does anybody have any questions of Ms. Getz?
I'll make a motion to follow this. Getz.
Sign the emergency declaration.
Absolutely.
With my signature, Sorry, I'm leading you. Okay, so we have a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, any discussion? Assuming a roll call vote, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. The motion is carried.
Thank you. That's all my bad news for today.
Can I just ask something?
Yes,
Sorry.
absolutely.
Can you, we just had our emergency management meeting on Monday, and part of my report, I guess, that I would give later, I'm gonna ask you to do, and that is as it relates to Gannett.
Oh, yes. I didn't bring the screenshot, but as you know, Gannon is our part-time employee, and he's a computer science major at UND, just recently graduated. His senior project was to develop an emergency preparedness app for Grand Forks County. And we just found out this week that he and his partner received first place in the competition at UND. It was sponsored by Nicole. And they received first place for developing that app. It can be now found in the Android App Store. He's having a little bit of trouble getting it into Apple, surprise, but it is out there, so you can search for it. And he's also working with Dakota now on ways to make it better and ideas that he can actually implement and put in. So we're pretty proud of him.
And what app would individuals be looking at?
You could search for Grand Forks County. It'll come up under Grand Forks County. You can search Grand Forks County Safety in the Play Store for Android.
Okay, please share congratulations on our behalf to those individuals.
Thank you. And he will come and do a demo for the commission, likely sometime in June, I think we thought.
Okay, wonderful. Okay. Thank you very much.
So I think we just approved that at the last meeting, did we not? That he.
Yes, you approved the ability to go sign all those user agreement things.
Forms and all
Yes.
this other stuff. And
Yes.
so it was.
So he and Ms. Wamstead have been very busy going back and forth with Apple and Android. So
Well, thank you very much. Ms.
Absolutely,
Getz. That's
thank you.
great news to hear. And thank you also, Commissioner Knopf. The next item on our agenda is Nicole Evans, the North Dakota Small Business Development Center Director. Welcome.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Madam Chair, members of the commission. I'm Nicole Evans, the Grand Forks Center Director for SBDC. This year just kind of gave you a little pamphlet this year of the things that we had for impacts in 2020. 2020, wow, what a crazy year for small businesses. One of the things that SBDC was challenged with was some of the CARES Act funds that came through the SBA. That included the PPP, rounds 1 and 2, the ERG, HERG through the Commerce State of North Dakota. And now we're looking at the Shuttered Venue and Restaurant Revitalization Fund. So you'll see here in Grand Forks just alone, 147 clients were advised over that. We were able to manage, it says 855 jobs supported. Now this is for those that were able to basically receive an impact. An impact is when someone has received funds or has created or retained some jobs through funding that we have assisted with. So we were able to collect in capital formation a total of $2,927,000. Looking towards 2021, I'm excited because we have millions in Grand Forks actually this year, of which is being built right now and going up. So I'm really excited what 2021 is going to bring. And also too, you'll see Grand Forks alone in 2020 was 147. Year to date right now, we're not even in month 6 and we're at 145 clients. So there's a lot of resiliency happening and there's a lot of people that are still wanting to move forward and go into business, which is awesome. And basically the second page, of course, is all about me. And so a lot of this is, it was a very tumultuous 2020. However, we do also have a CARES Act program manager, Greg Surup. He was added on in 2020 as well. He was actually extended through 2022 now. So we will still be continuing on. We have some exciting things coming out. I did not add it to this, but there is something called shopnd.com. That is any SBDC client that signs up with us for services is able to actually launch their products out on the ShopND. So it's going to be for the whole state of North Dakota, but we do have a couple of Grand Forks clients already launched up on the site. So if you ever have time, go ahead and take a look at it. And we'll just keep on keeping on, but thank you very much for your support. This is my 5th year standing in front of you. So I'm really excited to still be here and still able to say thank you to all of you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Evans. Do any of the commissioners have any questions of Ms. Evans? If not, thank you very much. And we look forward to hear future reports with additional funding coming in for recovery and dealing with the pandemic. That's exciting that we have individuals still interested in going into business.
Absolutely.
Great, thank you.
Just one last thing, just to toot a horn here, since you mentioned it. The first place business plan competition competitor Logan Rainey gets to ring the NASDAQ bell, but I was the proud recipient to help him with his business plan and his presentation for that receiving, and he also placed 2nd place in Shark Tank. So very, very happy of some of these college people going up and doing the business thing too. So
is Mr. Rainey from North Dakota?
He is not.
He's a student though.
He is a student, yes.
So he found his way here. That's wonderful.
He did, yes.
That's
I always
great.
ask where I always like, how did you get all the way up here? But it was in aerospace, so like.
Oh, okay. Okay. Well, wonderful. Thank you very much. All right, our next item on the agenda is planning and zoning. Mr. Magnuson.
Madam Chair, first item today is the our planning commissioner recommendation. We do have an empty seat for an at-large position in the planning commission. We did receive 3 applicants. All 3 applications are included with the memo. We did discuss the applications at our May 11th planning commission meeting. The planning commission recommended Joel Larson for the new planner commissioner appointment. And I guess basically one of the things that was brought up was Mr. Larson's past experience with as far as being an attorney from Dakota Power, dealing with power line easements, that type of thing. But you do have your applications for your review, and I'd be happy to answer any questions if I can.
Do any of the commissioners have any questions of Mr. Magnuson based on this board appointment?
Madam Chair?
Yes.
Just so you know, with an unexpired term, it will expire December 31st.
Okay. All right. What are the wishes of the commission?
Madam Chair, I would make a motion that we appoint Joel Larson as the new planning commissioner.
Okay, excuse me. Is there a second to that motion?
Second.
Any discussion? Okay, assuming a roll call vote, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. The motion is carried.
Next item is a vacation request for a rear yard utility easement. It involves lots 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, and 18 of block 1 in Meadowview second subdivision. I did attach a plat drawing showing you exactly where the location of the easement was. It is highlighted in yellow. The property owners submitted the petition for vacation. They basically, because most of the lots have been developed and all the utilities are installed utilizing their front yard 20-foot utility easement. So there doesn't really seem to be a use for that, especially because there's an additional 50-foot drainage and utility easement in their rear yard also. So getting rid of this 20-foot easement would allow them to utilize a little bit more of their yards in case they want to put an outbuilding or so forth in it. Staff doesn't have any issues with the request since, we already have the infrastructure in the ground and we do have that additional 50-foot one in the rear yard still if anything would ever be needed. Allendale Township recommended approval of the request with no comments. And Planning Commission recommended approval of the request at their May 11th meeting. With that, staff would recommend approval of the attached petition and resolution of vacation and would request that the commission authorize the chair's signature on both documents.
Okay, are there any questions of the commission for Mr. Magnuson? If not, would someone want to entertain a motion?
I'll make a motion, Madam Chair, to accept staff's recommendation for approval of the petition and resolution of vacation and authorize the chair signature on both of those documents.
Okay, a motion has been made. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? If there is no discussion, assuming a roll call vote, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. The motion is carried. The next item?
Next item is the application of the Farmers Elevator Company of Honeyford. It has 2 items that can both be acted on at the same time. The first item is a rezoning of 13.28 acres of land from agricultural to rural industrial. The second one is a special use permit to construct a fertilizer plant. Subject property is located within the rural town site of McCanna on the east side of the railroad tracks. It's currently the site of the company's elevator and other agricultural structures. The surrounding land uses are ag lands, railroad right of way, and a few rural residences. Under our land use plan, it's within our agricultural area. Both requests conform to the goals and policies within our land use plan. Under our zoning ordinance, they are requesting to go from A1 to I1. Since this is an existing site of an elevator, it was probably an oversight when the zoning map was drawn up. We've had similar situations in Arvilla, Johnstown, and all the other small areas too. So it's just kind of rectifying something that should have been done in the first place, just so we don't have non-conforming uses. Staff has no issues with the rezoning request. As far as the special use permit, they are requesting to build a 105 by 127 foot agricultural fertilizer plant as shown on the site plan. that would utilize existing access to the public road system there in McKenna. And just to clarify, they would, all the property they have there would be rezoned to the I-1 district, bring it into conformance. The Elm Grove Township requested approval with no comments. As far as staff comments, as with other similar requests, we would require dust control to be handled by the applicant as needed, and that all bulk chemical storage be stored in accordance with state health department and federal EPA regulations. Other than that, the planning commission recommended approval of both requests at their May 11th meeting, and planning staff would recommend approval of both requests also with the following conditions. Chemical treatments to the gravel surfaces shall be applied as needed, control the dust on site, and all bulk chemicals should be kept in accordance with state and EPA regulations at all times.
Okay, are there any questions of Mr. Magnuson? If not, what are the wishes of the commission?
I'll take a shot at it, Madam Chair. I'm going to, with respect to the Honeyford Elevator Special Use Permit rezoning in McKenna, move to approve the rezoning of 13.2 acres from rural to industrial, and also to approve a special use permit for the construction of a fertilizer plant at the site. This conditioned on company following through with chemical treatment for dust, and that the bulk fertilizer plant comply with all state and EPA regulations.
Okay, is there a second to that motion?
Second.
Any discussion? If there's no discussion, assuming a roll call vote, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion is carried. And your last item, Mr. Magnuson.
I actually have two more,
sorry.
one's real short, but next one is also a application from the Farmers Elevator Company of Huntingford. And this one is to amend their existing site plan in Gilby to include a maintenance shop and other agricultural structures as shown on the site plan. The property is located along County Road 2 directly north of the city of Gilby. It's currently the company's storage site for their anhydrous ammonia tanks, a fertilizer plant, office, and some other agricultural structures. According to the land use plan, it's within our agricultural area, and the request does conform to the goals and policies within the land use plan. Under zoning ordinance, this one is already zoned I-1 industrial. This was done back in 2013 when they came to us for a special use permit, and it was granted for the fertilizer plant. Everything they are proposing right now is considered a special use in the I-1 zoning district. So as far as the background, they are planning to include a 70 by 120 heated maintenance shop for their equipment, a 3,000 ton dry fertilizer plant expansion, which would expand the existing plant on site, additional seed tanks, and another pole barn on the northern portion of the property. All the structural locations are shown on the site plan, and there is also a letter included from the applicant describing in more detail the request, if you should have any questions regarding that. Gilby Township recommended approval with no comments. As far as staff comments, the applicant is not requesting additional accesses. The applicant did put in a turn lane back in 2013 to handle the additional truck traffic. Again, as with other requests, we would require them to handle the dust control themselves and store chemicals within the regulations. So with that, planning staff and the County Planning Commission recommended approval of the special use permit of the Farmers Elevator Company of Huntingford with the following conditions. The chemical treatments to the gravel surfaces shall be applied as needed to control dust on site. And the second condition is that all bulk chemicals shall be kept in accordance with state EPA regulations. with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Okay, does anybody have any questions for Mr. Magnuson? If not, what are the wishes of Commissioner Knopf?
I'll make a motion to accept staff's recommendation as it relates to the special use permit for 24 elevator with the 2 conditions that were specified: chemical treatments, dust control, and bulk, the treatment of bulk chemicals and storage, I guess, as far as EPA regulation.
Okay, is there a second to that motion?
I'll second that.
Any discussion? Assuming a roll call vote, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion is carried.
Last item I have today is pretty much just a housekeeping issue, but I wanted it on record in case we were ever asked about it. My planning commissioners received a $50 per diem per meeting. In some places, it's just stated as a per diem. Some places, it's listed as a mileage per diem. Now that we have had Zoom and people calling in on phones to do meetings, there has been questions about what the word mileage would mean in terms of being able to pay them. What I would like to do is just request that the commission give me permission just to strike any of the verbiage that says mileage, you just have it be a $50 per diem. So it doesn't matter if they do Zoom or call in, they can get their $50. Avoids confusion. And then I had also planned on, we had a couple meetings during this last year, which I would go back and retroactively pay it for.
Okay, any questions of Mr. Magnuson? If not, what are the wishes of the
I have a
commission?
question.
Yes.
As it
Commissioner
relates
Knopf.
to per diem, and all I have to go on is what per diem was when I was working for the state, okay? And per diem basically was funds or monies that we would get, like for hotels, meals, that sort of thing. And so we'd submit receipts and we would get that back. So I'm confused about why we call this per diem. But to me, it's more like a salary or a wage or a stipend or whatever, rather than a per diem. That makes it confusing to me. And so, you can get a per diem and in addition to that, get mileage. You can, if your travel is, say you have to go to Easement for a meeting or whatever. So, I mean, the mileage piece is simple. But to me, it gets confusing when we call it a per diem rather than
a stipend is usually.
Yeah.
Mr. Magnuson, would it be okay to put have always received a $50 stipend per meeting instead of per diem?
That'd be just fine. I'll call it whatever you guys want. I just want to make sure I'm doing it the right way.
And I would like to see us do that for all.
Okay.
All our outside boards that we are getting funds for attending meetings.
Okay.
This one doesn't include commissioners, right? I mean, commissioners that would be sitting on his planning board.
Commissioner Ross and I are freebies on that.
Okay, I just wanted to clarify that because that's the way I understood.
Yeah, it is.
We do it for the love of it.
And you should.
Magnuson, yeah.
So Commissioner Knopf, would you like to entertain a motion?
Which one?
Well, Commissioner.
Commissioner Paul. Yeah, I was at that meeting, so we discussed it too. It's an excellent point by Commissioner Knopf. I would move that the planning and zoning and actually any other boards in the county that we make payment on as a stipend rather than on a per diem basis.
And remove the word mileage?
Yes.
Okay, that is a motion that has been made. Is there a second to the motion? Okay, any discussion? If there is no discussion, assuming a roll call vote, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion is carried.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Magnuson. Our next item is the county engineer, Mr. West. And Mr. West, can I make one comment before you start? If we need extra storage space in Gilby, we might want to check out that heated storage facility that the elevator used to fill.
Oh, yeah, that'd be great.
I know.
I was thinking that. too.
I know.
Okay, I wonder if.
Before I go into the item with the culverts, I just want to run something by the board, and I'm not sure if I need permission or not, so I'm just going to bring it up. We have some on County Road 5 and County Road 17, we have some pavement that's deteriorating very fast and it's short segments, but the fix is going to be over $100,000. We're going to have to bid. So my thought is if I need to get permission, I'm going to ask for it. If not, at a minimum, we're going to put together a project and bid it publicly and bring the bids back for approval at a minimum. It's going to be over 100,000 for sure. Budget wise, we'd absorb it in our construction funds. So we're gonna have to scope it such that we can absorb the project. But do I need a motion? Because it wasn't specifically budgeted. So that's why I asked.
Probably should have a motion, I think, since it is over $100,000. I think that would be appropriate of the commission to make a motion and have approval, just so you have a record of that when you move forward with the project.
Okay.
Are there any questions of commissioners? If not, does someone want to entertain a motion?
Madam Chair, I would make a motion that we allow Mr. West to advertise for bids on that project that will probably exceed $100,000.
For sure.
5 and 17, is that?
Yes, there's 3 spots, 2 on County 5 and 1 on 17.
All right, the motion has been made. Is there a second? Any discussion? If there is no discussion, assuming a roll call vote, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. The motion is carried. That's good. You can, we like to have a group participation. Thank you.
Okay, so my one agenda item is no requested motion, but more of just informational for the board. When I started 7 years ago at the county, I asked the guys, well, how many culverts do we have? Well, I don't know. Okay, so our whole culvert program has been totally reactive. Not totally, mostly reactive. There's some proactive work being done, but usually once a problem is recognized, we go out and fix it, and that's kind of what we budget for. We just anticipate there's going to be a certain level of issues through the year that we can take care of. But so a few years ago, when the state started the GRIT program, that's that it was initiated by the state legislature to tally up all the road needs studies for the state legislature. Part of it included an aspect for culvert inventory. And we're one of the few counties, as you can see on the board here in front of you, that jumped right into that because it was perfect. And we started entering data. And Scott Clayton in our office, he's a technician. When he doesn't have a specific thing to do, this is what he fills his time in with, is he goes out and he just enters data. He inspects the culverts, size, length, condition, some notes about them. And we have about 80% of our county roads entered. That's about 2,500 culverts so far that he has entered. And he has more that he's inspected, just hasn't been entered in the computer yet. But what we found is 31% of our culverts today are in poor shape and should be replaced. So if you want to take a real quick drive, I could hop on Debbie's computer and just show you real quick what it looks like and how we've come up with this data. Or if you're running late, we can do it in another meeting too. But want to do another meeting? Okay, no problem. But the gist of it is, this information is publicly available. We haven't advertised that, but it is. And it's very powerful because you can visually see where they're all at, and we can use it for some planning purposes. But the challenge becomes, Debbie, could you flip to the next screen? Or my next page, I guess. That's a picture we took last week. And you could think of it that 31% of our culverts look like that. That's about the way to boil it down. So if I prorate that.
Question, Mr. West.
Yes.
It appears to me that they're about ready to collapse.
Absolutely.
So does the road collapse in at that point there also?
They will. What happens like with that one, we don't know how long it's been like that. The soil structure around the culvert is strong enough that it holds it up. But it's imminent. You know, it's a ticking time bomb, really.
I knew the answer to that, but I wanted to the record.
I just have a question. So then would that be the very poor, the 3.96% of culverts that we have? That might look like that?
Yeah, so there's some subjectivity, of course, to what is excellent, good, fair, poor, very poor.
Yeah.
That would be a very poor.
Yeah, okay.
But the poor ones
Are poor.
have holes in them and rusted out as well too. They're just maybe not chunked out that bad, but we've had poor ones fail as well too. So that's how I lumped it into poor and very poor. Should be replaced. That'd be prudent. I'd probably prioritize very poor, of course, but it would be prudent that the poor are included in that as well. If I prorate out and take some assumptions on estimates of culverts that are on the township roads that we're responsible for, and just put rough costs to things. Every crossing costs a little different, but if I tally that, these percentages up, ballpark number 25 million bucks. So it's a huge number. So I'm sharing this with you so you know, and budget season's coming up. I know there's a lot of budget issues, but the board should be at least aware that this is an issue. My proposal for the budget and what was submitted to the auditor's office is, Debbie's office is, within state law, we can go up to 10 mils at the vote of the board. We are at 8.5. 1.5 mils gets us about $500,000 bucks. And I would put that 100% in the culverts. If we did get prairie dog money, a lot of that money I'd want to spend on culverts and bridges too. So it's just, I don't know how we get there. I did also include Association of Counties website. We can grab the dollars and mil numbers for all the other counties in the state. And that was included in their packet. And you know, the average county highway department gets 14.2 mils. 10 is the most common by far. And if the board remembers, the first prairie dog bill that was proposed said if you don't get 10 mils, you don't get all your prairie dog money. It would be prorated after that. Now it's just a little tidbit for you, but I'm fighting for 10 mils, you know what I mean? But so that's all. And if anybody ever wants to see that, we can show that website, and it's pretty interesting. You can zoom in, and each culvert is a dot. It's color coded based on condition. You can click on it, tells you the information, and it's a very powerful tool for us for planning purposes and to know what we got. Because how do you, without inventorying and knowing what you got, how do you manage it and how do you move forward? So rather than just being reactive. So
Mr. West, could you schedule with Ms. Nelson and get on a forthcoming agenda? And then you could show that to us as a commission. I think that would be very interesting to see. Obviously, this is a liability for us, and this is something that we need to consider trying to fix, and it's not going to be a quick fix, unfortunately.
Absolutely.
Okay. Any questions or comments?
The question I have is maybe to bring back when you do that little presentation for us, things that come to mind is that how much do we have like in our budget for this year for culvert replacement? And then how many do you normally do in a given year? You know, and I guess that would be all that I would, you know, that's all the questions I have.
Chairman Peach, Commissioner Knopf, I should have had that with me. Should have had a print up my budget.
I don't need it today,
I think our culvert line item budget is either this year or last year was 70,000. But I know we also spend some of our construction fund too. So if we include, and we can also include equipment hire, because sometimes we hire contractors to do work. So if we add all that up, like 3 years ago, I think we spent $500,000 on box culverts. This year we're spending we have 6 of them going in. If we tally all that up, that's probably over $500,000. So we are spending some money already. It's just, you have 2,500 of them. And if they
How
last
many
30,
can
yeah.
you do in a year? I mean, how many can you do in a season, even if you had the money?
Right.
I suppose
If
if
we
you
put in-
hire somebody else to do it, then we can go. for it.
Absolutely.
Then you can do as many as you want.
Correct. Well, I can get you those numbers, but, you know, if we did a couple a week all year, or, you know, construction season. Ourselves, plus other guys. Yeah, I mean, it's a big part of what
Well,
we do.
just again, how long is this gonna, how many years is this gonna?
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot.
Thank you.
Very much, Mr. West. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay, next item on the agenda is Director of Administration, Mr. Ford.
Yeah, Madam Chair, members of the commission, thank you. For about the last 9-12 months, you've heard me talking about a military installation resiliency grant through the Office of Local Office of Local Defense Community Cooperation. We affectionately know them as OEA, or Office of Economic Adjustment. The county's been pre-approved through that program for $250,000 grant. But with all old CC or OEA grants, local community is required to come with a 20% local match, which can be achieved through in-kind, which we've done that as a county in the past. We are currently about $7,000 short for our in-kind match, and I've discussed this with Commissioners Falk and Ingen, and in my opinion, working with the city and the EDC and UND and the county, we're overcommitted for in-kind match currently, significantly in my opinion. And there's to offer another 7,000 of in-kind would significantly overpromise in my opinion. So with that being said, my request tonight from the commission is for $20,000 of cash carry forward, which would go towards this grant for our match, and then working with the city and the EDC and myself, we could easily close the $7,000 gap with in-kind services. Reason why I'm bringing this forward is, well, first, $250,000 is a pretty significant amount of money to come the county's way. But the U.S. Air Force, as you're aware, Madam Chair, members of the commission, changed their strategic basing, their BRAC criteria again. And the number one focal point for new missions, for realignment and for closing bases is resiliency. And so and it's no secret, our global lock mission's in jeopardy. The Air Force has already requested to retire it. So why this program is so important for the county and the air and for Grand Sky and the Air Base is, through this program, we can demonstrate to the Air Force and Air Combat Command that, you know, we have the crown jewel of the Air Force, we have a resilient base, we have the infrastructure, but we also have resiliency through energy, environmental factors, climate factors, and we have resiliency and redundancy through Grand Sky. And what that means is if there was a terrorist attack on our air base, Grand Sky and some of the other local community capabilities could keep things running for the United States Air Force. So with that, Madam Chair, happy to stand for any questions you may have. I gave you a lot of information in your packets, but that would be my request to the board. It's $20,000 from cash carry forward, which would be applied to our local match, and then the remaining roughly $7,700 would easily be matched for in-kind services. Happy to answer any questions.
Okay, is there any questions of the commission? There are no questions. What are the wishes of the board?
Madam Chair, can I request that if the motion is made to use $20,000 in cash carry forward, that you would amend the line item in Mr. Ford's budget for that $20,000?
Okay, and that funding is available?
Yes.
Okay. What are the wishes of the commission?
Making a note, Madam Chair, I'll give you a motion here.
Okay.
It's a good project. It shows the support of Grand Forks County with the Grand Forks Air Force Base, and that base is always under some consideration for BRAC. So to pump it up as much as we can is certainly important. I would make a motion to provide $20,000 out of cash carry forward to support the military installation readiness program grant, and that we amend the light item in Mr. Ford's budget so that's reflected accordingly.
Okay, is there a second to that motion?
I second.
All right, any discussion? Commissioner Knopf.
I'm not understanding this totally, but so are there other entities that also should be contributing money or could be contributing money?
Madam Chair, Commissioner Knopf, that's an excellent question. I have had prior discussions with some of our partners, specifically the BRIC representing organization, City, UND, EDC. And really at this point, there was no, trying to put this nicely, basically no, ma'am. I think the county would be making the financial commitment, and the other partner entities have offered to help us with the in-kind offering staff time, etc. But there wasn't any agreements or interest in providing with a monetary match. That answers the question.
Interesting. Okay, any other questions? Commissioner Knopf? No. Okay, anything else? All right, then we'll move forward with the motion. Assuming a roll call vote, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion is carried.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Last thing I have is a potential change order to the Cobb / State's Attorney Safety Improvement Project. The change order, well, I shouldn't say it's proposed. I was asked to get some quotes on changing the glass, which would be in the state's attorney's portion of the project, to bullet resistant. And it would be the same type of glass that's going into the first floor south project that already is bullet resistant. So Icon got some numbers for the county, and you'll see that if the county elects to proceed with changing the state's attorney's portion of the project from glass to bullet resistant glass, it's a $43,188 difference. And so the overall, try staff leading with my mic, the overall impact is it would increase, sorry, that's distracting, ma'am. It would increase the overall cost of the project, which is materials, labor, architects and engineering fees, to $187,857. Just a reminder to the commission, it's being funded, this project is being funded out of CARES Act funding. Happy to answer any questions.
Are there any questions of Mr. Ford regarding this?
Comment.
Commissioner Fall.
Well, I really hesitated when I saw that amount. It's a big sandwich to swallow, but we have the funds for it. And I think it's critical for safety over in that building. The other side of the coin is that we're looking long-term down the road. At some point, juvenile court may be in there. If the state's attorney's office moves out of there and they already have a similar type unit or system up here on 6th floor. So if we don't put it in now, we probably have to put it in down the road anyway. But I think it's important for the state's attorney's office, and I will support it. Thank you.
Okay, is that your motion?
Yeah, I guess it can be, yeah.
Okay.
Move to approve. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, is there a second to that motion?
Second.
Okay, any discussion? If there's no discussion, assuming a roll call vote, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion is carried.
I will let Icon know, ma'am, and they'll make the change right away.
Okay, anything else, Mr. Ford?
That's all I have.
Okay, State's Attorney.
Thank you, Madam Chair. State's Attorney's Office has nothing new to report this week. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. All right, then, committee reports, Commissioner Falk.
The only thing that's worth spending time on right now is the Administrative Services Committee that we had earlier, and I guess we all attended, so I won't waste a lot of time talking about it, but I think it's critical that we move forward with a salary study. And I think we need to, or I'm gonna make a motion that we authorize the Human Resource Department to make contact with some parties relative to a possible salary study as quickly as possible and to report back here with their findings.
Okay, there is a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, any discussion? If there is no discussion, assuming a roll call vote, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion is carried. So Ms. Deal, you have an assignment in front of you. Okay, wonderful. Anything else, Commissioner Falk?
No, that'll be all. Thank you.
Okay, Commissioner Ross.
Okay. A couple of things. First, under my portfolio is the county coroner. Right now, the county coroner responds to all cases in the junk that I've given her over the past few years as far as vehicles that the sheriff's department no longer needed. She is in dire need of a vehicle to respond to calls. So I have consulted with Ms. Wamstead at the State's Attorney's Office if I could go off the state bid to look for vehicles. And the commission needs to understand that the coroner does not have this money in her budget right now. And I've had conversation with the auditor, Ms. Nelson, and she has said that we could use COVID money to purchase this vehicle. And what I did, I got a hold of Nelson Motors in Fergus Falls, and they overextended as far as their purchases off that state bid of vehicles. So I can get a 2021 Ram 1500 special service vehicle off the state bid for $28,291.08. And all I would need to do is have the chair or the auditor sign this agreement so that when those vehicles are delivered, and they would not be delivered till probably about the end of June or mid-July because of the shortage of those computer chips. And so I would ask for that. Plus, in talking with Dr. Sims, she would like to have a tunnel cover on that vehicle and running boards. And I did get a price from Autoglass and Aftermarket, which I have given you to the tune of $1,093. And then I got an email from Nelson Motors because I needed to know what sales tax and license. Of course, this is an estimate of $1,610. So the total between the purchase of the vehicle, the tunnel cover, running boards, and sales tax and license, it comes out to about $30,994.08. So I would ask the commission for the approval of that and to use the budget money.
Okay, are there any questions of Commissioner Ross? Does anybody have questions to ask Commissioner Ross regarding this request? Sure. Okay. What are the wishes of the commission?
Motion to approve the purchase of the Dodge vehicle from Nelson Motors under the state bid as Commissioner Ross has indicated, along with the running boards and the cover, and to be paid out of the CARES fund, along with tax and license and everything else.
Okay, is there a second to that motion? There is a second. Okay, any discussion? If there's Commissioner, yes, yes. The second was Commissioner Knopf.
I'll make a second. Thank you.
Okay, assuming a roll call vote, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion is carried. So Commissioner Ross, you will share this information with Dr. Sens?
Yeah, Madam Chair, that I will need to have somebody sign this and then forward it.
Yep, just give it to Ms. Nelson and we can get that figured out. Okay, wonderful. Anything else, Commissioner Ross?
Yes, ma'am. I got a call the other day from Mr. Deshevsky about an issue over in the courthouse where one of the chillers went down. And so they have no air conditioning on the first floor of the courthouse. So he was looking for authorization, which this has been a very hot week. And I said, well, see what you can find, you know, see if you, I think CL Linfoot was over there, and they did find a new chiller. I think it's either in the middle of Michigan or Wisconsin. And I authorized him to bring that chiller here to get the courthouse up and running. I can't remember, Madam Auditor, what the price was on that chiller. Do you remember?
Yes, $13,789.26.
Okay, so I guess we would be looking at a motion to approve that expenditure to get that chiller, and we could take it out of
Capital improvements.
capital improvements.
Okay, any questions of Commissioner Ross? All right, if there are no questions, what are the wishes of the board?
Motion to approve the purchase of the chiller for $13,000+ as indicated by the auditor. I guess that's it.
Using capital.
Out of capital improvement, yes.
Okay.
Mr. Ross is getting to be expensive today.
Is there a second to that motion?
A second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? If there is no discussion, assuming a roll call vote, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion is carried. Anything else, Commissioner Ross?
Just the MPO meeting tomorrow and noon. They're always interesting. There's always talking about a bridge here and there and everywhere, so. And other than that, that's it.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Knopf.
Okay, I have a few things. You heard that we had emergency management meeting on Monday, and you heard about our rock star Gannon. And so very proud of him and what he's accomplished. And he will graduate now with a computer science degree in June. So, and how long is his internship with us? So the internship is over.
Yes, that's how we started with us.
Okay, with the internship. So anyhow, but we're real proud of him, and so the other things that I have, also Fair Board meeting, I had that. And so I have some questions because they're asking about mass. You know, right now we are, county property still has mass. And so they are asking good questions on why they should have to have mass. And so I think we don't need to talk about that today, but going forward, I would like to have some conversation on where we're going to go with that as a commission because of the fair and also because of the speedway.
Would you like that put on a future agenda for it to just discussion?
Future agenda or a separate meeting open to the public with them invited, whatever, if they so choose. But I think that we need to, or at least have a conversation amongst us as to where we're going to go, because I think staff here in the agency also are concerned about the mask requirements. And so we need to have that conversation. conversation.
Well, I would suggest if we have that conversation, it would be important to include Ms. Swanson as well as Dr. Waltz, who is our public health officer for the county.
So I don't know who wants to put that one together, but it's just a suggestion that I'm asking. And then also for the Kari, I need to talk with you about that because we weren't going to do senior day like we do on every Sunday, the last day, you know, where we have a band and we dance and we serve food and we always cater food in from Hugo's. Is that going to be a problem? Would that be a problem? Catering food from like Hugo's this year? And if you don't have to answer that because we're a ways out, but just something to think about. You know, should we even be planning for that?
If you have somebody serve the food, that's generally the preferred method.
I'm the server.
So you don't want a lot of hands in the food. So one person serves the food and then you'll be okay.
Okay, so we should be okay.
Yeah,
because we've got, you know, coolers, and there's probably 3 of us that dish up the food.
You know,
We
obviously
don't-
unless something goes south on us.
Yeah. So, but just where we are as of right now, and so, but there again, concerns about the masks or no masks, and then, what else was that? And also there was a problem that was identified, and I just got bits and pieces of it, it related to plumbing and drains, and apparently there was water that's being drained nobody knew about under the grandstand. And so they were talking about breaking some holes into the grandstand in order to get to it. And so I had suggested that they need to talk to the historic people before they do that. And that wasn't necessarily well received, but I was assured that they would make that contact with historic people because there was a grant that was received some years back and saying that we will follow. You know, we receive grant monies, but we need to follow and keep them always involved. And so, and if we don't, actually the Fair Board would end up having to pay back that grant money. And so it's important that, you know, I've shared that with them in the past so that they are aware of that. And so we'll see where that one goes. But that was in addition to maybe some of the things that Jay was able to find out. So anyhow, we're moving ahead with the fair and plans for that. And so, and then the library board, they've returned to normal business hours now. So it goes until like 9 o'clock in the evening. And they just did the final touches on the remodel in that we got a new telephone system that came in there. And so that was real beneficial and works real well with the agency. And then also on the 21st, which is Thursday, is
Friday.
Friday is the 121st birthday celebration for the public library. And so anybody that is interested in coming to that, that's from 3 until 5, and we'll have a ribbon cutting at 3 o'clock. And so it's kind of exciting for them. And everybody's really appreciative and excited about the remodel and being able to see the building for the first time. So anyhow, that's where I am. I've got library board meeting tomorrow and Friday, I guess, the birthday party. So that's about all.
Okay, thank you very much. As for me, the Grand Forks Human Service Zone Board met today. There was some discussion on staff. They're actually down 7 FTEs. 2 actually were hired on by the state, so they lose 2 individuals from eligibility. There are 3 that are retiring, and there are 2 new hires that they just hired within 60 days. So they're having discussions with the state about their eligibility staff being so short. They may have to contract to have some staff come in and either work overtime or get some temporary staff to help them get caught up. And so those discussions are taking place with the state, and they're going to have further discussions in the future. The other item is this week, someone from the state is coming in to audit the SNAP program. That's the food support program. There'll be an entrance interview, an entrance meeting, and there'll be an exit interview. And I believe some of the zone board members were going to be either at the entrance meeting or the exit interview. So that is coming up as well. Other than that, that's all I have to report. Moving on in the agenda, unfinished new business. The first item is the Great Plains Directory Service Request.
Madam Chair, members of the commission, John Annette contacted me from Great Plains Directory Services. And he sent a sample as well. But he contacted me because he produces old plat maps and he needs our shape file to do so. I put him in charge with Dean and we charge $1,000 for our shape file. And he said in his letter that he has exchanged books and wall maps and charged $100. The most they've ever paid is $300 for a shape file, and that was through Sidwell. He would not, or he requested that if you deny his request, that he would actually like to come to the meeting and present the information, but he would like to give us 8 black and white books, 2 color books, and 1 wall map for the shape file. And if no exchange is possible, he would pay $300, which is the maximum amount they've paid for the information in the state of North Dakota. So.
Okay. Any questions of the commission to Ms. Nelson?
How did we arrive at $1,000? Do you know, or do you remember?
Oh, I guess we would have to ask, we'd have to ask the information service or tech, the IT department where they came up with $1,000. I don't know.
It would just be nice to have some history there as to why. Because how often are these done?
Every year.
And so we did it last year.
They didn't get our information.
If you're a landowner in Grand Forks County, you get one every year in the mail. Automatically. One is automatically provided to you. It's not that quality, but it's legible, it's black and white. And so I keep them from year to year.
So
they didn't pay us.
Who did that then?
They didn't do it for us.
Grand Forks would have put it together last year.
Probably the same company.
Dick's got one.
That's it.
Yeah, they're really handy. They're very
I think
valuable.
they're great.
Yeah.
But we get those for no cost. Does the state produce them?
I don't know, I just take them out of Debbie's office.
She gets, I think it's part of the 8 that we trade for or whatever, so.
Yeah, this maybe is a different company.
I guess I'm just confused as to why this.
His is a lot greater quality than what the landowners get.
I don't know if that one's any better.
This one is, for old eyes, it's much better.
Oh, yeah, that's way more detailed.
I would
Which
rec-
company is that?
Farm and Home Publishers.
Okay.
This is Great Plains, so,
So
but I mean.
we could have, you could have them come to a meeting and.
No, the free one isn't spiral bound.
Oh,
And it's smaller.
But-
It's smaller.
but it's still that.
And maybe
bad.
you could ask
Correct,
yeah,
IT to
correct.
come as well and
Yes.
talk about whether or not we need to charge $1,000 for that.
You know, who's doing that?
And it could be, in the past, it was more labor intensive to get that information together than it is now. Because the information is there and maybe it doesn't take as long. Or maybe there's another reason that you don't want someone to benefit financially from the free information.
If the board still has questions, we could table this and deal with it at our next meeting once some of those questions are answered.
I guess I would just like more information, but if others aren't feeling that way, that's fine with me.
What are the wishes of the board?
Well, I'm fine with the trade out. I'll leave it at that.
Okay. Does anybody want to?
So when you say trade out, sorry. So.
We end up with a,
maybe to pay this, what, $300 from this company, but then, oh.
Yeah.
They would pay us $300.
yeah, or we would get the,
And so then this other company that you have, would they pay us $1,000?
And I don't know if they paid us anything either.
Yeah.
We have to ask IT. I mean, we can't, we
So
can't
there's,
assume that.
so I would like those answers.
So should we table this until the next commission meeting to get that information?
Yes.
Okay, then let's table this. All right, the next item on our agenda is the American Rescue Plan.
Madam Chair, members of the commission, we have been allocated almost $13.5 million from the American Rescue Plan dollars. I have made the request. The money will be coming into installments. We'll get 6.374 million here shortly. We can use it for, I've got listed here. We talked about it. And then we're not talking about how to use the money today. I just want to have a place to put the money once it comes. And I would like a motion to have a separate fund outside the general fund. To keep track of those dollars, because we have to quarterly report the money, how it's spent, keeping track of it. So I have a suggested motion to move to establish the American Rescue Plan Fund and to deposit the payments from the U.S. Treasury into the fund and dedicate this fund for all activity of the American Rescue Plan. All funds must be obligated by December 31st, 2024.
Commissioner Knopf. Okay, Commissioner Knopf has made the motion. Is there a second?
Second.
There is a second. Any discussion? If there's no discussion, assuming a roll call vote, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That motion is carried.
Madam Chair, members of the commission, I do have a separate sheet of paper that I laid on your desk, and it's another motion that I would request being made. And that's the CARES Act funding that we had placed in the emergency fund. I would like a separate fund to keep track of that. We received over $2.2 million based on our law enforcement payroll costs from the period of March through December 2020. We've paid out $466,000 at the end of April. We have committed another $500,000 out of that account, and our balance would be $1.2 million at the end of April. So I would request that we move the CARES funds from the emergency fund 2910 to a separate fund 2561.
Okay, will someone like to make that motion?
So moved.
Okay, the motion has been made. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Any discussion? If there is no discussion, assuming a roll call vote, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. The motion is carried. Anything else, Ms. Nelson?
That's it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, the final item on our agenda is correspondence. We all received some information from the North Dakota Water Education Foundation, and they gave us a list of the 2021 water tours. So they look interesting. If you're interested, please sign up. It is free for elected officials to attend. So get your signature in. I've been on a couple of them and they're quite interesting. All right, then, is there anything else for the agenda? If not, does someone want to make a motion to?
So moved.
Okay, adjourn the meeting. Is there a second?
Second.
Assuming a roll call vote, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion is carried. The meeting is ended. Thank you all very much for your participation.
Friday, tomorrow will be 6 a.m. Okay. And you'll be back then.
Military installation.
Now, I'll be, we'll probably be back.
Can I hear from the water starter? No, observe, man.
Recovery. I get it. I'm following.
Good.
I'm following.
That's okay.
Think outside the box.
Right, sure. But it's hanging up in the, on the wall rack. It's a lot of equipment. Yeah.
It's about thinking logic.
I'm gonna go end our virtual
You're in
meeting.
that
What am I doing?
No, I was wondering what you were doing, having your shirt hanging in your office.
It's way too big for me, way too big. So I thought maybe it would fit Nick.
Thank